But the issue is now, when they want to apply for roles, one of the major problems they have is that there are not enough roles for junior and internship levels. And they're like, okay, so now that I already built the skills, what am I supposed to do? Do I keep waiting? And that's when you now have people start lying on their CV to say I have 2 years experience. Meanwhile, they have 2 months experience. But I mean, if you don't give me roles, then I create roles for myself, right? I mean, that's actually how all of these conversations started. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, I think tech surge means that we have more supply than demand. We have more supply of professional talent than we have the demand for those professionals. So, I don't know if any other person wants to talk about what tech surge means to them quickly before we really get into the conversation. Okay, does anyone to? I mean, I try to warm things up so that everyone can, chip in one thing or two. So let's make it happen.
Okay, so I think I'm going to mention how I understand tech search. And for me, it's in two phases. I think we've experienced the previous phase, and that was like pre-COVID, right? Where there was tech wasn't fancy and not so many people wanted to be in tech. It was just, so there was a high demand for it, but then there was low supply. And now, which is the phase we are, where there is now high supply, but then the demand is still high, but it's not as high as the supply that we have. So yes, that's what we're currently in, and that's what I understand with tech search.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Olamide. So since you guys are not coming, we're just going to call Chisom because I can see her face.
I knew it. I knew turning on this camera might have been a bad idea.
You're not
um,
a bad idea.
Hi everybody. Hope we're having a good weekend. I'm just trying to reboot. But like Lamidi mentioned, yes, there is a tech surge, and we're currently experiencing like an influx of people learning entry level skills, just trying to pick up tech skills as well, and the pool is getting like super large as like time goes by. So yeah, I think there's like an excessive amount of people that are learning tech skills, but the pipeline for them actually getting jobs where they can utilize these skills is not really available. So yes, there is a tech surge.
Okay, I think this now actually leads me to the next question, and I'm going to throw that question at Ada. Do you actually know anyone currently experiencing this?
I
Is
don't
that
know
that?
for some reason. I was expecting that next question to come to me. Hi everyone. Okay, do you want to come again with the question, please?
Okay, so I was saying that, I mean, Chisom explained, Olamide explained from their own perspective what tech search is. Then I was not asking, like, do you know anyone who has gained a skill, but they are still struggling to like pick up a stable role in that aspect?
I wouldn't say, I wouldn't share individual stories. I mean,
Yeah.
I run multiple communities, and one thing about the communities is that what we try to do is train individuals to either get skills or upskill in their existing skills. And many times, what we see in this pipeline is, especially the hiring pipeline, is the ratio of people who are coming into that pipeline and the ratio of people who are getting jobs from that pipeline is very, the ratio is high when you're coming in and it's very little when you're trying to get job opportunities. I mean, if you look at, for example, NITDA and the Federal Ministry of I think the ministry that Bottom Sudan is leading, they literally just launched a training to get more people upskilled in tech. And one of the criteria that is set for training partners is you're not just coming in to train individuals, you also have to give us a confirmation that you're able to place them in job opportunities, because they have also, I mean, if the ministry has highlighted that we know that there are more people coming to tech, but there's literally very little jobs for them. I mean, I think that's a very glaring example that not just in Nigeria but also all across Africa. So I think that should answer that.
Yeah, that really did. Thank you for sharing that. I think we can now like really like delve into the conversation. And I think one major conversation I'm even like that just rings in my head. I think I'm going to throw that question at Yetunde Rotinwa. Yetunde, do you think it's a good time to transit into tech? Like currently, do you think this is the best time, or you just have to chill a bit till the coast is clear?
Okay, so I'm going to answer that question and I'll say yes and no. Yes, because tech is an industry that is very viable, high salaries. They even used to say that when you come to tech,
Okay.
it's blood money or whatever that joke that's inside there. Yes, it's very viable. You can grow rapidly. You can also transition into other roles as well. So say for instance, currently I'm, doing community management. If I want to scale up, for example, I can move into product management. If I learn, a couple of courses and everything, I can transition into that. That's tech just gives you that room to grow and all of that. I will say no because a lot can happen in few months. I mean, you can be in a role and you can be earning good money, and then the next day you hear that the investors have pulled the plug on your company, and that's it. As in, and they will lay off a whole lot of staff and everything. So, in terms of stability, we've heard a lot of tech companies lay off, a number of staff, and I'm even talking about the big tech companies, right? So even with startups and everything, so if you are not, what's the word? I don't want to use strong, but if you're not a person that I'm trying to look for the word, I can't find it, but you need to be, it's an industry where you need to realize that anything can happen, right? And I'm not that I'm trying to discourage anyone. It's a good industry to be in. Um, my I'm a very living example of that because the companies that I've worked in the space of 2 years, I've worked in 3 companies, and it's not a case of, oh, I was laid off or anything. It was because of, they had some issue. I had to move here and I had to move to the present one I'm in currently. So if you don't have the heart, yeah, exactly. That's the word. If you don't have the heart to be in an industry where anything can happen, I would say no. I would say move to a stable industry that has proven stability for years, and I'm talking about your likes of FMCGs and the likes, because you can earn good money in those industries as well. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you for sharing that. I think it brings us to the next question to Chisom. And I mean, I would just like to ask Chisom, what do you think are the key factors that contributed to this surge over time? I know Olamide mentioned something around COVID, and during COVID, we had like a surge in demand. And I mean, we had like lesser supply for, I mean, what do you call, why do I keep saying demand and supply? Before it sound like serious concept. I just feel like, I mean, we have more people trying to employ tech professionals with lesser people. I mean, but now we have like a different dynamic. So, I mean, what do you think are some of the other factors that contributed to this?
I think it's like it cuts across like the general the way the world is innovating, things are changing, technologies are people are building a lot of stuff. I'll say ChatGPT for instance, artificial intelligence. So, but to come down to like the level of like the ecosystem, so many businesses are going the e-commerce route. So many businesses want a website for their business. I think most of the people that I have bought stuff from have now upgraded from, oh, DM me for this to, oh, check out my website. So people are trying to automate their businesses. People are trying to make their businesses more efficient. And obviously they need like people that can build stuff like this for them, like technologies and all of that. And generally, I think the world is evolving as a whole. So many people are putting themselves online. So many people are trying to learn a lot of things that could enable them make life sort of like easier for them. I think that's one factor. And then, like Yetunde was talking about the hype of tech paying you blood money. There's a lot of hype now. People want to learn tech skills, who want to make millions. And when they see somebody, or when I see my friend that's in tech and she's doing pretty well, she's making a living for herself, it's something that is very easy to admire. And you just want to be like, oh, I need to learn a tech skill. And I don't know if that is a problem or it's something that's going to or if it's a good thing. But I feel like it's just generally around the way the world is getting innovative and the way people are easily, not I won't say easily, people are just picking up tech skills and making a living from that. So many people are admiring that field, and it will just push them to want to gain more tech skills or learn tech skills themselves.
So I mean, I think I do get what you mean. I mean, tech has become attractive, so more people want to get in. So the more people want to get in, we have more people who are now skilled in that role, and that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for sharing. And I have another question, and I think I'll just pose it to somebody else. So everyone kind of share their own perspective in a different way. So to Olamide, do you think it has become harder now? Because I mean, you have like an extensive years of experience, right? So I feel like I mean, you might also be in the right space to really share this. Do you think it's harder now to get a tech, to land a tech job like than when you actually did yours years ago?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So I would say two things. Two ways. I think it is easier now, and before there was this push for being a specialist, right? Like companies, organizations. If you were a developer now could be a front end developer, and a developer then was not just a front end developer. You have to be a full stack. You have to do your front end, your back end. In fact, be the designer. But now you have different fields, UI, UX, and all. So I would say yes, it is easier now. But then that also brings in competition because there are a whole lot of people learning tech as a skill. So the competition is very fierce. You have to be really good at what you do to actually land that tech role. So two ways to look at it. Yes, it is easier now, but then you have to be really good, get enough skills to land that role.
Hmm. I think that's really good. Now you have like more people who are very good in this field, so it's not just about SRB, quote unquote. It's not like, do you really know these things? And I think, I mean, personally, from my own experience, I think that even what's it called, for QA roles now, we feel like interview questions and interview tests have become a little harder. Like they're asking heaven and earth from one person. So and before it's not like that. Like the moment you can do things to a particular level, just come on board. But now
Yes.
they just want you to be able to do everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm going to add to that as well, I would say that a lot of people learn tech skills, right? And you see a couple of companies say, come and learn tech in 1 month, in 2 months, and then you can land your next job. And then they're just teaching you about the tools that you can use to do the job, but not necessarily teaching you about the business. So again, I think we need to understand that technology will always be an enabler to any business. So you need to understand the business side of things as well as you're going into tech. So it's one thing to know the skills, to have the skills to use the tools, but it's another thing to understand the business. And you should be able to marry the two together to get that job.
That really makes sense. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you. I think so if you're raising your hand, don't worry, we're gonna take question later. We can't interrupt the flow. Sorry about that. Okay, so I think I'm going to go next to Chisom because I mean Chisom. I mean when they were reading Chisom's bio, you know Chisom is the author of um, a techie's guide to big tech companies and how. So I think this question is just perfect to ask. So Chisom, I'm not coming for you because your camera is on. I'm just coming to you because I mean you're the best person to answer this question, right? So if you're going to I mean with all of the knowledge you have, I mean with your book and all of that, if you're going to be starting out your career, let's assume you're starting out your career now in this surge and you already have all of the knowledge you have, what would you do differently?
Hmm. Um, I think I'll start with what I did previously. So let me see if there's something that I would want to pick out from that. I
Okay.
think I did mostly putting out valuable stuff of the things that I was learning at that time. I think I was doing Android development at that time. So it's something that I was still learning. I was literally just learning how to code. So I remember writing articles on Android development. When I launched my app on Play Store, I posted about that too. So I was literally building in public, and I wanted a situation where people would follow me through that journey of my whole learning journey, right? And I knew that I was a student and I didn't have experience. So I wanted to put myself out there in such a way that okay, people know this girl doesn't have an experience, but this is what she has been able to do. This is what she has been able to learn by herself. So I think I would have done even more of that because I was usually scared of putting out things that I was just trying to learn because I didn't feel like I had learned enough in quotes. So I think now it would have been more of that, like writing more articles, building in public more, and all of that. Then communities as well is something that I don't think I leveraged as much as other people did when they were starting out. I don't know why, but I feel like if I had leveraged that, I would have probably gotten more opportunities that I did. So now I would say communities, I would have joined more communities as well because the thing with communities is that they give you like a certain kind of launch pad. You might be doing the most on your own, but when you find yourself in a community like this one, you get easier access to opportunities. Like I was speaking to a friend of mine, Choma, she's part of She Code Africa. She was telling me about like the recent cloud role that she got through that community, and she didn't just get that role because she was in that community. She got the role because obviously she was putting herself out there, even in that community. So communities as well would help with the whole search. And I would merge community as well with networking too. If you know people that know people, obviously you're going to get your foot in the door faster than someone that doesn't know anybody, right? Referrals as well would work because the thing with the job market now is you cannot easily just apply for a job and they will magically get back to you. Most of the time, you just need that extra push. You just need someone that can put in the word for you, someone that can say something on your behalf for you to like get that role. So it will revolve around me networking more now, building in public, leveraging like the communities that I have, just as this one, and just trying to give out value because as Olamide mentioned, she talked about giving out value in a business. Employers want to see that you don't only understand the business, but you understand your technical skills very well. So giving out value, showing people that you have a certain kind of uncommon knowledge that is not really so common. I know there's so many front-end developers, but you as a front-end developer, what do you bring to the table that's different? What do you know that's different from other people? What makes you stand out? So it's all about literally standing out, learning those extra skills. It might be uncomfortable, it might be very challenging, but just pushing yourself to learn those extra skills so employers can see you as someone that's super valuable to hire.
Thank you very much for sharing that. In fact, you actually even shared a bit of what my next question would have been. But I still want Ada to add to it because I know Ada posted something of recent, I think yesterday, about community and building, what's it called? And networking, and how when you build like valuable network, you kind of just put your feet in rooms that you're not even physically present in. So Ada, so I think the next question I would just need you to like just shed more light. I mean, based on all we've been seeing so far, how important do you think networking is to building like a successful career transition in tech?
Okay. First off, I think that Chisom has highlighted a lot of the benefits on that. One thing on my own end is I know how much building in public, learning in public helped elevate my career. And I would say that just following from what Chisom has said, it's very, very vital. And I'm speaking on the POV of being the one who is in the room, who is giving people these opportunities. And I know how much when people simply do things as, oh, they're just putting their things out there, they're talking about, or maybe I'm doing XYZ, I'm learning XYZ, or they're reaching out to you and they're just sharing their work, right? It's different when you just reach out to someone with the simple sense of, oh, I want to network with you, but you're not bringing value, which is what Chisom mentioned. People want to see that you're already putting that value out there. And when you reach out to persons like this and, you can see what they're bringing to the table, it's very easy for you to want to say that maybe in other rooms where they're not presenting, you're calling out their names for them. And networking is actually very vital. But I also want to point out that it's not compulsory, right? It's not compulsory, it's not something that you must do. For some people who have things like social anxiety, don't just jump into it, right? You could take it a step at a time. It could be as simple as events like this where you could network with other people. And that networking could just be like introducing yourself. Even if maybe you don't make a connection from that event, that's fine. When you continue to practice it over and over again, and then you take it to like in-person events. There are some people where they are, I would call them social butterflies, and it's very easy for them to make huge connections right from the first day, maybe from the first community activity. But yes, it really helps, but don't pressure yourself. And then another thing that Chisom had mentioned is a lot of times communities like this helps out a whole lot, which is why which is one of the major things that these communities aim to do. You already have the tech skills. Some of them might train you on the tech skills, but these communities provide a platform for you to meet with people who are already in those rooms that you're not in, and then you can reach out to them. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you very much for that. So, I mean, we'll do a recap and like allow everything flow. But I hope everyone is in sync and following through on everything we are saying. So, I think one major question that has also been ringing on our head, and which is one of the reasons, Yetunde Yetunde Adejumo is on this call, is that, so just give me a minute. Sorry, my housemates. Okay, so so Yetunde, this question is for Yetunde Adejumo. So I mean, as an HR person, yeah, even not just an HR person, you're HR lead for ALA, and I would just like to know, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how often do you guys put out roles for, let's even say, junior roles in tech? Like, how often? Why do you think you put out that number?
Hi everyone. Okay, this feels like a you don't catch me moment, but but yeah, I'll just go right into it. So I'm going to answer this. Okay, relating it to my organization. So out of 10, I would say 2. That's why I say this. That's why I said this feels like a you don't catch me moment. 2 out of 10 because I mean a junior employee or an intern is totally different from an experienced hire. And of course managing them would totally be different. And of course, the task that you would assign to a junior employee is totally different from the experienced employee. For us as an organization, for our junior employees, we're quite intentional about the process of training them, handholding them, just to properly ensure that they are well carried along, they are not left behind, and mainly because many organizations like us actually lost some very good talents to the whole jackpot that's happening that happened and is still going on, which has in turn led to an increase in the death of talent generally. So for some of these talent gaps that we experienced through jackpot, we're still trying to cover up for those gaps. And as a tech organization, for us to scale, we have to build and move fast. The industry literally doesn't wait. So yeah. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you, but Yola, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Yeah.
Just type what you are about to say.
Or you could try and rejoin.
It's mute.
All right, what about now? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so you can hear me now. All right, sorry about that. I actually had you're seeing me everywhere because I have like, how many backups? Like three backups, and they're connected to different internet because I don't trust both. What's it called? Fiber One, MTN, Airtel, everybody left. So I mean, got everything Yetunde said. I thought Ada's hand was up for a minute, so maybe she wants to contribute to what Yetunde mentioned. Is that true?
Yeah, actually, my hand was up, and I wanted to add a bit to what Yetunde had mentioned, and maybe to also come to just support her a little bit, and give some tips to other people. One thing that someone had answered the question if now is a good time or if it's the right time to like go into tech. I was going to respond to that, but I think the time has passed. But to answer her, rather to add to what she has said, people need to realize that Africa is still in its building phase, right? We are comparing ourselves to other continents that have been in tech. We are comparing ourselves to India, to the US, to Europe that have been in tech for, or they have people who have been in tech for, we have people who have been in tech for like 50 years, 30 years, 40 years. But Africa is still in its building phase. And a lot of times, the companies you see that are taking in talents are still majorly startups in tech. And just like she had said, Yetunde, most of these startups are still trying to tackle problems that require experts to wade in on those problems. It's only if you're lucky enough to get into fangs like Microsoft, Google, and the rest that it's easier for you to maybe get like junior roles. But for all of these other companies, you can't blame them if their major focus is still on addressing the issue. Maybe they're still raising funds. They have investors who are down on their necks to provide results, and they don't even have people who are going to focus on these younger startups. These younger talents, so maybe interns and juniors. And a lot of times, what some mistake that these junior talents, these intern talents make is that they just assume that, oh, to come into tech, maybe they bring the assumption of from other industries to get into tech, I can be an entire novice. Unfortunately, we have gone beyond that stage. I would say that you could have succeeded with that mentality and with that drive in the 2016, 2015, 2014 era, and so when tech wasn't so vibrant as it is right now, a lot of times, even for interns, you see interns who have like a year experience, who have like 2 years experience, which is the unfortunate thing, but it's something that we have to just accept as the whole truth. So if you're coming in as a newbie in tech, that value that Chisom had mentioned is what people are really looking out for. You can't say that, oh, I'm a newbie and I'll learn on the job. That's no longer what internship is, unfortunately, in the African tech scene. You have to be bringing something to the table and understand that, unfortunately, for these startups that you're going to be working with, not all of them are going to hold you down and train, because they also have fire up their assets to push and produce results. And then Yetunde had also mentioned that they lost a lot of talent to the tech talent migration. And I think that's happening across all continents, not just Africa. But now the thing with the African scene is that for us, because most startups are focused on building certain things, a lot of times for senior talents, growth the growth margin or the growth roof or the growth ceiling is capped to a certain point. Startups are still trying to make money to a certain level. So you have grown to a point where your startup can no longer afford you, or your company can no longer afford you. So you have to move to the other side where you have more opportunities. And as those talents are moving, the newer talents are still trying to come in, but there's nobody to take them up that ladder as well. So you have to understand these two things. Senior talents are leaving, and for you as junior talents trying to get into the same, what are you bringing to the table? How are you helping yourself help your company? I just want to quickly add that because I think that's a lot of times most people don't understand this when trying to come into tech, and they just think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to come into tech like that, and it's going to be easy. And you're comparing yourself to somebody who maybe they started in 2015 and it was a bit easier for them.
Thank you so much, Ada. That makes a lot of sense. And I think you even touched base on a number of questions that we had. All right, thank you. So,
There's something, sorry. I
can you hear
was,
me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, please
Can
go
you,
ahead.
can you hear me? Okay, I was looking for the raise hand emoji and I was so clueless. So yeah, what Ada said is very, very like what Yetine said as well is, and I also think more communities and more events should start tackling how junior developers can advance to mid-level roles, because it's super unfortunate that most times I do one-on-ones with people, I review their resumes, I look at their portfolios, I look at what they've built, and to be very honest with you, it's not that impressive. People are doing like the regular to-do lists. Like this is not the period to keep doing to-do lists. Like the things people were building like back then in 2020, like more conversation should be had around how you can elevate yourself from being a junior developer to being a mid-level developer, and also companies as well. I know it's not super easy to hire junior developers or interns. The resources and the money involved in training them is a lot, but I feel like more junior developers should look for ways they can shadow senior developers, shadow them by learning a couple of things, because I mean, the tech market now is not super nice. You have people in the pool that have been laid off from fan companies. So you're applying with 1+ years of experience with people that have like 6+ years of experience. So when you're putting out portfolios that don't really sound impressive, or you're collaborating with projects that are just there, they're just basic, it won't really get you into the door fast. So I think more communities as well should have workshops or initiatives like this as well, where junior developers can see or listen to strategies they can use to level up from like the junior level of engineering or product or anything to like a more senior level. That I think that would help as well too.
All right. Thank you very much, Chisom, for chipping that in. I think since a number of our questions has already been addressed, the best way to go about this is to just kind of build on the conversation we are currently having. And I'm going to throw this question at Yetunde Rotinwa. And I know Yetunde had to build a portfolio from outside tech and she leveraged that into tech. So perhaps, I mean, we're talking about experience and like Ada rightly mentioned, um, now when you're looking for, when companies in Nigeria, the applicant setting are looking for interns, they don't necessarily want interns that have like zero knowledge and want to learn on the job. So it's based on how you can, do you think that route can be one of the best way to actually tackle and kind of stand out in this search?
So yes, that's a very, you know, direct answer to that question. But I would use an example. So before I got into tech last year. Yeah. Before I got into tech, I'd worked in different industries. I had experience for over, I think it's over 8 or 9 years now. I keep on saying 7, but I think it's over 8 or 9 years. But anyway, having that experience over time, I currently work in the blockchain industry, and the first role that I got, I knew nothing about the blockchain industry. Adam mentioned something about, social anxiety and everything. I would rather be behind the scenes and do my work and make my work speak for myself. But one thing that I did when I got into that space was really learn how to get out of my comfort zone and, learn how to really put myself out there. It wasn't something that was instant. I had to build it, you know. But Another thing I did as well was making my work speak for me. So I made sure that I was going over beyond. So if I was giving tasks, or even before I was even giving tasks, I was being very proactive with a lot of things I had done or a lot of work that I was working on. And that made sure that even with not knowing a lot about the industry that I was in, I did a lot of research. I asked a lot of questions, same question multiple times. I would just, tell the person, please, you need to just indulge me. I had a manager that I'm forever grateful to her because she didn't see that, oh, I was asking those questions and she just felt, oh, you're asking me too much questions. But um, in having that, I feel that it's very important to know that as Ada mentioned, Chisom mentioned as well, you have to have built your skills up to a certain level, right? I understand that it might be, you might say, oh, getting to tech, I don't have the skills and everything, but you never know what can happen. I mean, this role, I didn't know anybody. I just pitched, sent an application, got the job. But what helped me a lot was I already had the skills in my field. So it was easy to transition that into the role. So say, for instance, social media management is a non-tech role, right? Obviously, you know how to do content calendar, schedule posts, and all of that. I mean, content strategy and all of that. So what I needed to learn was learn the industry in itself, learn the terms that we're using, learn the type of content to put out there, study the target audience, the type of content to put per time and everything. I mean, I made some mistakes along the way, but it helped me, to be better. So yes, it's possible for you not to have those skills in particular industry that you're in, but you are skilled in that industry. So you are skilled in, let's say HR, for example, and you might be going into, it can be blockchain as well, or fintech or something like that. It might be a bit different from what you are coming from, but once you're able to learn the skills properly, ask a lot of questions, research as well. I mean, you will do well in that industry. So yeah.
Thank you very much, Yetunde, for like really explaining. And I personally really, I mean, we've engaged on a personal level, so I know some of these things, and I think I was very fascinated as to how you really built your career and how well you're doing for yourself, despite the fact that I mean you did not rightly like start off the career in tech, but I mean you're doing so great. So well done. No problem with that. Okay, so I think the next question I'm going to trade at Bolu. So Bolu is also someone that I really also respect in that field, just like Yetunde. And I mean, Bolu has built an extensive career in a non-tech field, and which is one of the reasons like we wanted her to be in this conversation. Like, is that not a problem? Like, to be honest, Bolu, I'm just like throwing this question at you, right? Do you think people are a little bit so fixated on tech? Like, if it's not tech, I cannot make money in this life. Because Bolu is actually making money, and she's not in tech. So, I mean, don't you think that there are other like fields and eyesight tech that are doing so well? And perhaps you can even enlighten us about your own journey and how people can actually do well in other non-tech roles, because those roles will keep being in existence because someone has to do them anyway. So I mean, and people are thriving there. You are doing so great. So I mean, maybe you should just enlighten us. Maybe people are just focusing on what they are not supposed to be focusing on. So please.
Okay, thank you, Biola. I don't know about so much money, but well, I'll say that beyond, I won't say that people are fixated on tech. I would say that obviously, if we consider the fact that the world is now a global village, it's not a mistake that everyone wants to ensure that they revolve in whatever the demand wave is. I would say yes, beyond tech, there are certainly other industries that are definitely high flying. Marketing is one particular industry that I'm in, and I think is particularly very, very interesting. I say interesting because at the end of the day, no matter how much technology would say is advancing, the customer or the consumer is still at the center of everything. And with every dialogue, with every transaction, you're marketing.
And the honest truth is, with my career trajectory, what I've noticed is COVID had a very huge impact in terms of how people market and how consumers react to products and services. I'll give specific examples. Before COVID, marketing was more about physical interactions. But nobody told marketers that after the pandemic, marketers had to find themselves adapting to the wave of the very fast-paced consumer change in terms of demand. So first of all, I think it was Chisom that mentioned e-com. Now people are sort of shifting from brick and mortar, which are either physical stores, depending on the kind of product that you sell, to now the e-commerce platform, where it's literally about go into my DM or visit my website. And as a marketer, if you are not on the World Wide Web, if people go, your customer, your consumer, your prospective customer decides to search for you on Instagram and they can't find you, automatically they will feel like you don't exist. So right now, consumers are first about virtual consumption before actual consumption of your product. So if they can't find you on digital space, there's a way that they perceive you, and it can even affect your brand perception, as the case may be. So marketing has shifted from this thing of brick and mortar, so it's physical interaction, to now even a virtual experience, which is what we're currently doing now. So I would say that shifts really happened during the pandemic. And I think also for marketers, technology honestly has actually helped us. And I'll say this particular industry, again, regardless of where you find yourself, you still have to market. And marketing has a way of adapting to the different changes that we find ourselves. Economically, when consumers decide that they want cheaper products, marketers always find a way that they can sell to the customer. If consumers say their demand is shifting from, let's say, soft drinks to healthy drinks, marketers have a way of selling drinks that are not as healthy, but marketing is all about make believe, selling it to them in a way that they would assume is exactly what they need. And I think marketing is peculiarly very interesting, regardless of where we find ourselves. Even in 2045, marketing will still be very, very relevant because, again, it's a way of make believe. So no matter the technology, either AI, through chat GPT, there's a way that you can market whatever it is that you're selling to your customers. And I'm not just saying marketing is interesting because I'm in marketing. I think that it's an industry that for whatever is going to happen in 50 years from now, it will always stay relevant. So regarding what Yetunde was saying in terms of sustainable industries, I say on behalf of marketers that marketing is definitely, that's one industry that is very sustainable. And this is not to say tech isn't. I think that when you merge tech and marketing together, I think there's fire, because marketers have also understood that marketing now needs to be automated. That with a lot more efficiency in terms of how you're marketing to your customers. So that's what I would say about marketing. But I don't really necessarily agree to Biola's, making money again, just to re-emphasize. Thank you, everyone.
But it's fine. I know you like to stay humble, but no problem. So I think one major thing that I really took out from what you said, and it kind of just resonates to what Yetunde was even saying earlier. And I think the idea might be like, if you enjoy what you currently do, instead of, see how passionate Bolu was talking about marketing to us. So if you currently enjoy what you do, instead of finding a way to just leave everything you do, then you're going to jump into tech, then you get frustrated along the way. Why not incorporate technology into what you love doing? That way you can even become that sought after person in your field, because you're doing something different, you're doing something unique. So instead of trying to say, I want to be be a QA and starting from point zero, you build your portfolio to a point, incorporate tech, and build on what you already enjoy. That's where you can be like Bolu, that will be talking so passionately about what she really loves doing. So Bolu, you wanted to add something to that?
Yes, Bella, sorry. I just wanted to say that there was something that you really said that I just wanted to emphasize on. I think that when with every career journey, wherever you find yourself, be it tech, be it marketing, whatever it is, I think you let your passion be the first thing, but always find a way to revolve with whatever it is that is sustainable. Because when you go with the bandwidth of what is trendy, what then happens is that trends go with the wave, and the wave is never stable. We all know this. So just to allude to what Biola has said, let your passion go first. Wherever it is that you find your passion, then find a sustainable means, find a sustainable way to sustain that passion and to find a way to remunerate that passion for yourself. And technology is something that is very sustainable. Again, depending on the kind of technology you are speaking to. If it's music, find a way to merge it with tech. Chisom talked about value proposition. When you find yourself in a particular space that you're passionate about, find a USP that is peculiar to just you and use that as your selling point to trade. And I'm sure that all that making of money will come after it. It will chase you. You won't have to chase it. So I just thought to mention that.
You should just marketed how you can sell yourself. I hope you got it. She said it in such a way. Ah, God. Bolu, thank you. So one more question for Bolu, right? So Bolu, I think another thing I also want you to talk about is yeah, I know that time has gone. I know it's 11 minutes, so we are rounding up. We're rounding up now. We just get like feedback from the team after this, and we are good. So specifically for Bolu, I mean, you said something about growth over time, and I mean, from the way you started your career to where you are now, I want you to talk about building like career goals and how it can even help not just people wanting to transit into tech, anyone trying to like forge their what's it called, their career further, maybe move from one point to another point, and something that can also be useful for people in tech. How can you build that career goals in a way that it's last over time and you can actually really pull through everything that you set to achieve?
Okay. Well, I would say one thing. I think that the first step to anything is, first of all, some self-assessment. You have to acknowledge what your weaknesses are, what your strengths are, what your area of interest is, to even set objectives, set a clear goal for yourself. Then after doing all of that, you now need to have those specific and I'm looking for the word now, specific and clear goals. They'll say there's this formula. I don't believe in formulas. I don't believe in theories. I believe in what works for you might not work for somebody else. But I'll just share a few of what works for me. When you set specific goals, when you set measurable goals, when you set attainable goals or achievable goals, when you also set relevant goals and you set goals that you know that are also time bound, what then happens is that you're able to track these goals over a period of time. And I think that also some of us are very we set very long-term goals without obviously breaking them down into piecemeal. It's very important that we're able to set those goals as much as they are very wide, set them into small sizes, scalable sizes as well. Then you also have to ensure that no matter where you find yourself, ensure that whatever proposition you have for yourself, say, okay, I want to be a mechanical engineer. How does that transition, how does this align with your personal values? How does this align with the personal ethics? Irregardless of where you find yourself, no matter the skill sets that you have, your soft skills will sell you first because your character introduces you in the room before you exchange your resume. I know they say your resume goes ahead of you, but even if you have 20 years experience, you have 30 years experience, if you have a very bad character, they will choose somebody that has a good character over you. And because skills are trainable. But characters, if you have a character that is not trainable, it's not something that you can edit. You also have to do a lot of research and garner knowledge regarding the industry you want to transition to. Is an industry that is viable? Is an industry that is sustainable? Is this an industry where you believe that you thrive? Because remember, the first step is for you to at least do some self-assessment to see if you have some aligned level of interest in that particular industry. Then you also have to set priorities. I know that a lot of people they have a mood board of what success looks like, but you have to understand that your success is different from what somebody else's success is, and you're not supposed to define somebody else's success as your own level of success. And you set priorities. You can't do everything at the same time. And then another thing I will also say is you have to have some reasonable level of flexible adaptation and understand that environments are very different. And when you go into an environment, you might have culture shock. But you also have to understand something. An environment should not define who you are. You have to have a mindset of wherever I am, I can become a chameleon. I believe that's the animal that can adapt into different environments. But do not allow this behavior now change who you are. If you're a person of excellence, maintain it regardless of wherever you find yourself. Now, just to summarize, in terms of measuring your goals, put KPIs for yourself. You have to have KPIs, and KPIs should also come from a place of tracking your assessments, tracking your achievements rather. It could be financial achievement. It could be tracking your achievements rather. Could be a thing where you have a career journal where you're writing down, okay, this is where I want to be in 5 years, this is where I want to be in 2 years. This is where, can everybody see me? Sorry, okay. This is where I want to be in 5 years, this is where I want to be in 2 years. Set milestones as well, and ensure that these milestones are actually practical. I know a lot of us want to be dogged in our career, but it has to be things that are realistic. Now, realistic is very diverse, but again, I believe everybody understands what I mean by that. Then use performance key indicators for yourself and give yourself some realistic percentages. Say, okay, in next 2 years, this is where I want to be, and I need to ensure that for me to be able to get to this place at the end of 2023, I need to do 2% every month of this particular task to ensure that by the end of the year, I've achieved this. Then regular evaluation, have an accountability partner. Is it that you have an accountability partner, and then you ensure that you don't take your networking skills for granted. Chisom mentioned, and I think it was, I'm not sure who else mentioned, how important it is to network. I can't emphasize this enough. You never know who is speaking about you in a room where you are not. The power of having internal sponsors, people underplay it, because when you have an internal sponsor, that person is literally speaking about you, is your PR manager, and you never know. It starts with communities like this. This person knows you, and then the person is able to introduce you without you even knowing. And then another thing I also say is that document your journey. Sometimes we're so in the journey that we don't necessarily appreciate how far we have come. And then clap for yourself once in a while, but don't be so fixated on where you are, and remember where you're going. There's a reason why they say that the windscreen is much bigger than the rearview mirror, because it's supposed to look forward always. I think this would just be my five cents that I would just like to drop. There's really no formula, but as much as possible, just do what your heart says and focus on more fulfillment than where the money is. Money will chase you.
Yes, I want to add. I just want to add something to what Bolu just. So she mentioned now sponsors, right? And see, that word that she mentioned, you cannot downplay it at all. In every place that you find yourself, I said earlier that it's very important that your work speaks for you, but it's very important that you have an excellent spirit. If you go into an industry where, or maybe they are not so resilient, that's the word, they are not very, dogged, or they are not, push themselves through, you have to always rise above that and make sure that, you push yourself and you do, 100, if it's 200% over what it is, no pressure, not that you are supposed to, walk, throughout the day or throughout the night, nothing like that. But you just have to ensure that there's always excellence when it comes to your work. Because as she said, you don't know the people that are looking at you. You don't know the people that are seeing you. You don't know the people that are talking about you when you're not there. I mentioned, right, that I got into tech last year. And the way my career has leapt is through internal sponsors. The first manager that I worked with is the one that got me the role in the next one. And after I left that place, she's the same person that still got me the role in the next one as well. As in, this is me not applying for the role or anything, just saying, okay, this babe can do, this person can do this job. And this is, you should give her, this role and everything. Did the interviews and I got the role. You never know who is speaking about you when you're not there. So it's very, very important that you are there, you are not there. Don't do, is when maybe the person that's supervising whatever it is that I'm doing, that's when I would put in my best. No, make sure that per time you are putting in your best, because it's when you are not there. Referrals are even the greatest ways to just climb the ladder, climb the career ladder when it comes to either tech or any other industry at all. Because when people talk about you, it has a way of making you enter the room first than any other person that is just simply applying. Because if I say I work in Google, for example, and I say, Adeni is very good with software testing, and some other person is just applying, I would rather pick Adeni because somebody is speaking on Adeni's behalf than somebody that is just coming in newly. So it's very, very important. Let your work speak for you. Do the best that you can. Do the best that you can in any place that you find yourself in. And make sure you always do quality. See, I cannot stress it enough. Please do quality work, because you never know who is going to, just change your life, basically, really.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you very much, Adini, for always being so proactive in helping once they try to show me shege. So I think we've really really exhausted our time, and I'm really grateful to everyone that stayed this long, and for all of our speakers. I know that you guys had like other things planned for the day, but you still took our time to be here, and we really appreciate that. So I think we can just pick a question or two, then we can just move on. Any other question, we'll pass it on later. So please, if you have a question, this might be like the best times for you to raise your hand so you can unmute and address our speakers. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, can I take that?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Adini, for that question. I think my reaction to that would be, or my advice would be that, again, you always have people like that. Again, going by, I think it was Chisom that mentioned it, the factors that is actually pushing people to say, I want to go into tech. You see, most people just see that, oh, that's the next big thing, and then they want to just jump into tech. So maybe how to start or to help them, you need to ask them, okay, so what do you like to do? Because if you are just telling someone to pick for you, then you really don't know what tech is about. So you need to ask them, what do you like to do? What are you passionate about? For people, some people like to draw, they like to create things, they're artistic. Then that would mean you might be going into maybe UI UX design, right? Product designing. And if you like to solve problems, so it might not be something that you really like to do, maybe as an artist. You might just like to solve problems, right? And you could fit in into maybe QA, right? You could fit in into QA if you have you have a keen eye for to spot errors, you criticize people a lot, critical thinking. Those are key skills that you need to actually perform in some key the fields in tech. So maybe you want to start from that, asking them what they love to do, what are they passionate about, and if you know them personally, you can then better advise them. See, you're thinking of this particular area, but I know you like to do XYZ, so I think this would be good for you. But yeah.
Thank you very much, Olamide, for that. You just like ticked all the boxes, and I think that answers the question. So thank you very much to everyone. Please remember everything, just to reiterate everything that we've said so far. Remember that if possible, if you can build your portfolio, if it's something that you can build your portfolio in other field that is non-techy, then you can leverage it into your tech role. Please do that. So perhaps you want to what's it called, like Yetunde that is in social media, you can build your social media skills off a non-tech industry company, then you can now leverage it into the tech company you want to work for. Then Chisom, Ada, and I think Olamide, and I think almost everyone here talked about networking and how you can use that to leverage your tech career. Then Chisom also mentioned community. Join a community, work with the community, grow that way. Then I think it was also Chisom who mentioned something around learning openly, let people know what you're doing. If someone know that when it comes to this particular field, this person is always putting out what they are learning, then whenever that thought of, oh, we are looking for someone in this role comes to my head, I think of this. And I think a number of people have said a whole lot of things. Bolu mentioned career. She mentioned what's it called? She mentioned how you can actually build sustainable career goals and how you can work around it. Then Yetunde Adejumo also mentioned things around. Why do tech companies not necessarily put out roles for junior level? When you look at it on the large scale, it's easier for us to say, oh, they're not putting out roles and all of that. But there's a reason why businesses don't necessarily do that. And she kind of enlightened us on all of that. Yetunde Rotinwa did that, so Olamide did, Ada, Chisom. Thank you very much, everyone. It was such an enlightening session, and I hope that you can take all of this in that's been said and use it. It's not just about sitting down to really listen to it. It's about taking actionable step to actually executing some of these things that's been said. We'll make sure that this video is available on YouTube so you can always rewatch in case you missed anything at all. You can always go back to it and pick a point or two. Thank you very much to all of our speakers. It's an honor to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes. Also, please, our speakers will be dropping their LinkedIn profile. Kindly follow. You've learned about networking. Network.
Thank you, guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.